let's talk about how to write a business memo. So the first thing we have to do to think about writing our business memo is to think about what a memo is supposed to do. So what a memo is supposed to do is answer the question that was asked. So if a supervisor asks an employee of theirs to write them a memo about something, how will June sales impact our profitability? They have asked you to go out and do some research and write them a memo on it, and they want a summary of the answer. Now, you may want to give them additional information. You may want to provide other documents. You may want to provide other support for why you think the answer is what you think it is. But the memo itself, the top cover page, the thing that they're going to read first, needs to answer that question. So make sure you answer their question. You may go off onto other things while writing this memo, but the first and most important thing is make sure you answer the question. The other thing is they often say, how long is something going to be? Every time in writing, one of my students, I ask them to write something. The first thing they want to know is, how many pages is it? Well, in short, the short answer is the shorter the better. You want to be very clear and concise in your communication. So it has to be clear, being concise, but it has to be clear with enough information so that the reader can make a decision based solely on the memo. You don't want to have a memo as a reference document referencing 52 other pages in another document. What you want to be able to do is say, I think this June sales are going to be X, and here's the 3 bullet points Y, and then I have all this supporting information if you want to read it. But the memo itself has to answer the question. The shorter it is, the better. And it should be able to stand alone and convey all of the points that are contained in any supporting documents and any conclusions that you have. It should contain all those in some sort of brief, clear, and concise way. Don't go into a long version. You're trying to think of a way to summarize it so just the key points are there. A couple other things on what a memo is. First of all, it's not an abstract or academic work. We're not talking about putting in APA format or any of the other formats that are academic in nature. This is about conducting business, and I've often said that if you came up with a Google algorithm for search and you wrote it on the lid of a pizza box in crayon, you would still be a billionaire. It doesn't matter if it had 1-inch margins or not. So you're conducting business, be thinking as opposed to trying to come up with some sort of format that you think will give you style points. This is all about substance. Now, having said that, the format should fit the need. So, don't go crazy with thinking that the format's what is important. However, you should have single space, no references, all that's fine. Don't think academically. But the format should fit the need. So if there is a need for bullet points, do that if it would convey the information faster. If not, more a narrative, more of a story, maybe that would fit the need as well. But remember, you're trying to convey the information as concisely and clearly as possible and conduct business, not impress somebody with your writing skills. Other things is it's persuasive, passionate, and creative, and as brief as possible. So again, I'm highlighting the fact that it should be short, but it also has to be persuasive, passionate, and creative. So what you're trying to do is influence the person that you've done the work. Your version of whatever the memo says is correct. That you're believe very strongly in what you're saying, and it should be creative to the extent that it grabs people's attention and provides the information they need so they can make a decision and have comfort that you've done your homework and that they can follow what your lead. Also, remember, you're doing business, not taking a class. So even if you're doing this for a class and you're a student of mine, we're trying to get you to conduct business. We are not trying to get you to show what an APA formatted academic journal article would look like. We are trying to write a memo. If you're a student of mine, you've been given a case scenario or some sort of scenario, case study or scenario where you are trying to do some business. I'm looking for you to do business. Show me what you would send to CEO. Show what you send me in the question that I've asked of you, not what a APA formatted journal article would look like. So this gets to who is the audience. So never start writing until you know who's going to read it. This is true of not only these memos, but in everything else you ever write. Write to the audience. Do not write for you, write for them. Ask any author what they do. They talk and think about the audience because that's who's going to read it. They're certainly not writing for themselves. So always keep in mind who's going to read the memo or the piece of writing that you're doing. Keep them in mind. Some of them put little pictures on their monitor of who their audience is. I know there's several very popular authors that have got pictures of various people that they're writing to that they keep in mind when they're writing, because they have a tendency to write for other people and change the tone of the way they're writing. I had one student use the word proletariat in their writing, and I said, "Who are you writing to?" And they said, "Well, everybody knows what that word is." And I go, "Really? How many people do you think use the word proletariat in everyday speech?" And she was like, "Well, I know they know what the word means." And I go, "Yes, they might know what it means, but that is not the goal of communicating the point that you were asked to communicate. You're adding additional language in there that may not be needed." Also, when you're editing, think about from their point of view. Editing is going to be very important. I'm going to bring that up several times. Make sure you're clear that you're editing and your focus is on them. What are they going to think? And it doesn't match. And one way to think about this is, does it match what the what the writing that they typically see actually is? So does it match the writing they typically read? When you think about your audience and what they're thinking and reading and what they're used to, you want to match their tone and their style that they're used to, conveying them new information. In a company, you'll probably know the tone. In this particular class, if you're taking class with me, then you're looking for the CEO or whoever I've put in the scenario you're in, match their tone. And I've usually told you who it is, and usually it's somebody who's very impatient and very urgent and needs to get something done.